Kia ora, Star Wars fans. Welcome to Middle-Aged Kiwi Man Collecting Star Wars Figures, and welcome to episode 2 of Legends of TVC. And I'm absolutely honored today to be joined by 4 Legends of TVC. You all know who they are. They're the swtvc guys from Instagram. So I've got Lewis, Evan, John, and Tyler. And it's awesome to have you guys on. I'll bring you on and say hello. Kia ora, Lewis.
Hello.
Kia ora, Evan.
Hello there.
Kia ora, John.
Hello, hello.
And kia ora, Tyler.
Hey, everybody.
Just thanks so much for joining me, guys. I know this has been weeks in the making. We took a little bit of a back seat while that excellent event, Last Figure Standing, went through and stole all of our carefully curated live stream spots. But here we are. It's 2024, and happy to have you all guys here. How you all doing?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Pretty good. I think.
How are you?
Good. Excellent. Now let me just check the comments and see if we got Chris Red 5. How you going, Red 5? And we got Star Wars Roo. So thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it.
What's up, guys?
Hi, guys.
Chris is the man.
Yeah. Absolute legend. And we've got 12 people watching, so feel free to jump into the comments and say hi. But I'm going to introduce my guests, and they're looking all real nervous now. but some of this they may have seen before. Who am I going to start with? Let's start with the man with the silky voice, Evan. Welcome to the audio home of the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of 3.75-inch scale, heritage scale collecting, Star Wars The Vintage Collection.
Amazing.
Very good.
That made more sense than anything I've ever said on the podcast.
And I told you that the Mac McSwift costume department has been absolutely nailing it. We tracked down.
Perfect.
It's something like minus 30 degrees where you are right now, but the Mac McSwift costume department managed to go over there through the snow, wade through the snow barefoot, find the place where you bought the beanie, and get an exact replica. So
yes, I got to talk to my costume people though. So switch things up now.
all right, who we got next? Unidentified shirtless male. Someone put unidentified maleless shirt. It's just a shirt. What Tyler might be able to iron that one.
Love it. I did a search just for you. Unidentified maleless shirt. Not on the bracket submissions so far, but we do have 13 options for shirtless. When I search shirtless, and I got to have my my safe search on.
13.
When I do that, but 13 people so far.
That's
want that
quite
shirtless
worrying.
guy. So
That's more than lumpy. Throw that out there.
sadly enough,
Is
one of the
it
gift
shirtless
cards-
lumpy though? Perhaps it's
Yeah.
13 shirtless lumpies.
Shirtless Ben Solo, perhaps.
Yeah, could be.
That is true. That is true. A lot of great shirtless moments in Star Wars history.
A lot of good shorts too. Anyone got like pink shorts guy, the
Yeah.
boom mic guy?
We've talked about it. Let me
Oh,
see.
we should check.
I think I saw one, but
He's been mentioned. I don't know if anyone's actually put him on the list.
I don't see any yet, but yeah, maybe we still have a few weeks, so put them on the list.
Okay, right. We're going to do another intro, and then we're going to get into the... Honestly, Hasbro, if you're watching, I only bought 40 cases of the Artillery Stormtrooper. If you fix his socks, I would have bought 100 cases.
You gotta fix those socks, Hasbro. Fix them.
How many have you got, Tyler? How many of those did you build? Did you build
Not many of those, honestly. Only a handful. When it comes to like the specialty troopers, like the artillery stormtroopers or the incinerators, I happen to have one right here. I only buy like a handful of those. It's
one for
the
each
standard.
room.
It's the standard, grunts that I buy platoons and platoons of. So.
Yeah.
because I'm irresponsible.
I think we all are, and we're in this hobby together and irresponsible.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Now, Lewis, so I was going back through my footage of you'll be pleased to know that my footage of me being you was not that great. Instead, this morning, I wrote you a haiku about you.
Sounds good.
So for
can't wait to
those
see
of you
this.
counting the syllables to make sure I got this right, Englishman Lewis, excellent photographer, known as the Space Hut.
Wow.
Very good.
It's like poetry, except it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
It's like poetry because it is poetry.
Faster, more intense.
All right. So now that we've got our cringy intros out the way, what are we actually going to talk about? But actually, in seriousness, I do want to talk about the SWTVC Instagram page, the awesome work that you guys do. So it started out as an Instagram page. You do the podcast, which I listen to on repeat, gets me through my commute. So thank you very much. And then, of course, the March Madness, which we're in the thick of now. So I guess it's a bit like the Avengers. There's 4 of you to tell the origin story.
Well, I think Tyler, you're right now the elder statesman of the 4 of us here. So it was you and Carlo that kind of what's the Avengers thing? It started as an idea. I don't know. It's been a while. At MCU.
Yeah. I don't know. I was encouraged by my girlfriend to create a collection page on Instagram, which I did. And then this was prior to that stream in 2020 that sort of motivated us to start SWTVC. And what was that? Was that SDCC or just? I'm trying to remember
Was
what
it
it
London? Was it even
Yeah,
London
I
Comic
don't
Con
know.
with?
London
Yeah.
Comic Con.
It was like,
Yeah,
here's the
there-
Stormtrooper Luke repack.
Yeah. It was the Stormtrooper Luke repack that sort of motivated the whole community to rally. But so I made my Instagram page first, and then we all decided that we had to do something because there were a lot of photographer pages on Instagram for collection pages for 3.75, but we felt like there wasn't really a central hub for the community on Instagram, whereas there was a gigantic Black Series Instagram page with like, I don't know, 60,000, 70,000 followers or whatever. Well, I felt that there was a gap in the community that needed to be filled. So I felt like we needed a place to come together. And so SWTVC is not just us, it's also, you guys. We share your collections and we share your art, your beautiful photography and all the talented customs that you do. And it's really wonderful. So, you guys are just as much SWTVC as we are in my mind. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, and it was 2020, so COVID year. We're all kind of going stir crazy.
Needed something to do.
Yeah. I remember Tyler, you and Carlo reached out to me at one point. You're like, hey, do you want to maybe do some of this stuff? I was like, yeah, I guess I'm not doing anything else. But yeah, it's funny that Tyler, you say your girlfriend encouraged you to start an Instagram page. Maybe that was hey, stop talking to me about your toys, nerd.
Go and talk to someone who cares.
She may regret it now, but
Yeah.
your fault, babe. So
Oh man.
But
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
just
so
some
we
old
got Evan on board, and then we got where Evan goes, John goes, because they're attached at the hip with the very strongest super glue. And
Dyad in the force.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Not sure which is the dark side and light side. It depends on the day. But
Hey, John, we should go as the Tonikas to the next celebration.
Yes, I'll be the
You're
tall one,
tall, yeah.
obviously. Yeah. Yes, please.
and
Yeah,
then
'cause- yeah.
we picked up Lewis as well. So yeah, and of course we have Carlo.
He's not
with us
He's
today.
still knocking around. But yeah.
He's taking more photos lately, which has been nice to see. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see. But it can be hard to keep up with the page. I got all these ideas for cards. Between March Madness and other features that we do, it's hard to keep up with everything sometimes. But it's all fun.
We all do different. Sorry, I was just gonna say we all do different things for the page. I'm by far the least talented person on the team.
Yeah, but your talent
John
is dealing with people, Tyler.
Yeah.
You deal with the people, and so sometimes messages.
That's not a talent that I possess.
So.
I open the inbox and I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
you're like the.
We do.
What was the name of the latest bat? Ben. What was his name?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. Yes. Evan, every time he opens the DMs, he's like that meme of Ben Affleck where he's just like,
just ripping down a cigarette, bummed out.
Too much Dunkin'
Donuts. Yeah, I couldn't remember his last name, so thank you. But
put some respect on the Affleck, man.
Evan and John are instrumental. They do a lot of graphics work, and of course, Lewis does sometimes as well. Evan does the podcast. John is Wikipedia on legs, as I like to call him. He's just his nerd knowledge is just off the charts. His Metachlorian nerd count is just like nothing the galaxy's ever seen. And Lewis and Carlo are very talented photographers. So yeah. I'm just the PR guy, I guess. But
well, and early days too. It was we had the benefit as well of the Razor Crest. HasLab started kind of as we were just going with this, so it was kind of a good opportunity for us to jump in and try to see what it would kind of take to mobilize people and getting them excited around vintage collection, 3 3/4 Star Wars collecting, all that fun stuff. So.
Nice.
100%.
I'll just quickly catch up with some comments. So we had Red 5, Star Wars Roo, hey Roo, How I Run a Base, Headers, Cura Headers. We got Coleman. Now, Coleman has I'm going to give you a shout out, Coleman. He has a blog called Star Wars Sunday, and every Sunday he writes a little blog, figure reviews, opinions and stuff. And also a regular on Banter Skull as well.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
At One with the Force, my mate Phil, he's an Englishman but lives in New Zealand, and he's been out here to hang out.
Nice.
Emperor Vals, good morning. I've showed this before, but I do like this comment. And we love your page, Red 5. I love that the yak face mechanic guy. He's in everything. Yeah. He's awesome.
Thank you, Chris. That means a lot. I appreciate it, buddy.
Conrad. SWTVC are here on the comments.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. Daniel Chart, the world's biggest sequel trilogy lover. Nice Daniel. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. You're an OT guy. We love you.
Hope I didn't trigger you too much last week, Daniel. So
hey, Murray.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. And we appreciate you, man.
Darth Rock's here. Kia ora, another Kiwi. Good to see you, Darth Rock. Jeff Russell.
Great names. Great names.
And you are welcome, Coleman. Good to see everybody on here. I
just want to shout out Chris real quick from Red 5 there. He was, a lot of you have seen that I've been working on a Star Destroyer bridge diorama from Hole in the Ground. And it's been a very intensive project and something I've never attempted to do before. There's a handful of people in the community that I know that have gotten this set. And one of them is Chris. And he was just absolutely instrumental in helping me to complete this project. So I can't thank you enough, buddy. And soon it's going to go where that AT-AT is. That's going to come down and go somewhere else. I got to figure that out, but it'll be very prominently displayed in my collection soon.
Is it finished? How long?
It's mostly finished. I've got to put the alcove windows on the sides and the wraparound windows sort of at the front of the bridge. I've got to glue all that stuff down. But other than that, it's like 95% of the way there. So yeah.
And you talk about community, and I think this is the thing about what you guys have helped to build, but we're all kind of part of, is that community and that helping each other out and giving each other shout outs and stuff like that. And in the green room earlier, Lewis and I were talking, and Lewis was like, bro, I don't even know how I got here. Like we talked about, like on different live streams and hanging out with luminaries of the community, such as yourselves and Boss Bounty and banterskull.com and all that. So do you want to tell us about that, Lewis? And how did you fall into this?
I mean, again, it's interesting. Tyler said his girlfriend pushed him into getting an Instagram page, and setting it up. I was kind of the opposite. I'm quite anti-social media anyway. I mean, you won't find me personally. I don't have any social media accounts. Anything I have got is Star Wars related. But so I was for years. I mean, I've collected way back from Power of Force 2 days. And I've always kind of kept an eye on the pages, your Banter Skulls and your Jedi Temple archives, all of those kind of things I've always watched, but I've never engaged. I mean, to be honest, Tyler's name I would always see pop up because he was always moaning about something, but it was never something that exactly. But I never actively engaged in any of that stuff. It just wasn't something that I was interested in. And then one day, I think it was on one of those pages, they were talking about this thing, this drive, this Save 3.75. And they were sort of suggesting that if people have got collections, get out there and show their collections and get involved and just try and do your bit for the community. And I thought, do you know what? I've got this huge collection. I'm kind of a closet collector. No one really I know collects. And so for me, it was this massive collection that no one had ever seen. And I thought, do you know what? I can take some photos of my stuff. And I had an Instagram page, which I'd set up years before and just never used. And I thought, well, I'm there, I'm good to go. So I just started posting random shots of figures, and before you know it, you get talking to people. And again, it's like you say, it's this community thing. You start to chat to people about different things. We all have the same interests. We're all interested in motivating and pushing. At the time, it was TVC was obviously coming back, so it was that whole thing, that whole movement. And so I think, it was really driven by that campaign, which, as Tyler said, was off the back of everyone being so disappointed in those reveals or reveal that came before. So really after that, obviously you guys all kind of set up SWTVC prior to me being involved. I was always kind of around in the background, so to speak, but not actively part of the group. And then Tyler kind of messaged me and said, do you want to get involved a bit more? Do you want to do a bit more? And I was like, yeah, definitely, let's do it. And like I said, I look back now and I think, how did this happen? How did I get to the point where I'm on these live streams and we're doing these podcasts and we're doing this stuff? It's great. I love it. I enjoy it. But it was never something I set out to do at all. It just organically evolved.
Don't flatter yourself there, Lewis. We hired you on because we needed someone to be awake when we were sleeping.
Yeah. I kind of see myself as the Winston of the Ghostbusters crew,
It sounds quite creepy when you say it like that, even.
Yeah.
Watch over.
Watch us
Yes,
sleeping.
he stands and watches.
Good to know that Daniel Chart is getting therapy over John's list. He must have appreciated Canadis though. OT.
Yeah, I had some 70s, 80s Canadis and Lumpy and Simalu, all the big heavy hitters.
How does he feel about Lumpy? Tell us, Daniel, how you feel about the holiday special. I'm curious.
TVC Mackin's here. Hi, TVC Mackin. I still haven't even watched the holiday special. I just can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it all the way through. Yeah, I'm
No,
the same place. I've seen bits of it and I just can't sit through it.
Don't worry, John will reenact it for us right now.
I'll reenact the whole thing. We celebrate a day of peace, a day of harmony. That's at the end. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Oh my gosh.
Make an event out of it, laugh at it and have fun with it. But
I started watching the Ewoks cartoon show on Disney Plus, and I couldn't after 2 episodes, but that theme song just it's an earworm.
Yeah.
And like for weeks after it's Ewoks.
Spirits of the Forest Moon. I watched all of Droids. I made about halfway through the first season of Ewoks and I had to tap out, and I still have to do the second Ewok movie because I saw the first one. That's why I haven't seen the second one.
I was going to say the second one's better, but I'm not sure it is. It's on the same. It's on a par. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your expectations are set by the first one, so they can only be better.
Well, I remember those from a kid, so I had actually seen them from from the age it was probably aimed at. So for me, those I probably appreciate a bit more than the cartoons. But yeah, I can't say I regularly go back to them. Put it that way.
So, John, how does one become a walking Wikipedia? Like, I know in my own brain, with my limited capacity, about 95% of it is filled with Star Wars cricket statistics and random trivia, and there's only about 5% left for everyday life. So, you either have a massive brain or how does yours work?
My head is physically large. Some of them have something to do with it, but I don't remember names of most people that I've met throughout my life, so that also has something to do with it. Any historical facts and figures are just gone, but I can tell you all about, the entire Star Wars history. But I just remember watching it and just being in love with the reference books and stuff. I'm still going through that Dawn of the Rebellion reference book, just going there. Look at that little guy. Look at that crazy background thing you see for 1 second, and getting it in a book or on a website and being able to pore over it. It's just a fun part of it for me, for sure. Or over the years going through the Rebel Scum archives and all the other archive sites and stuff, and seeing it all as a continuum of Star Wars amazingness. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
John, you kind of inspired me. I don't know if I ever told you this, but you kind of inspired me to get back into collecting back when I did, because we had gone to college together.
Yeah. And, so when we were going to college, you were kind of out of it because it was in between. It was like over a decade ago, dear Lord. But,
don't say things like that. I think I'd be happier.
But so kind of after Revenge of the Sith, everything was kind of winding down in the world of Star Wars. Clone Wars was still going strong, but it wasn't at the forefront of pop culture anymore necessarily. And that's when I thought that collecting was better than ever, frankly, and maybe not as people were dropping off, but the character choices was the obscure weird stuff that I love from every movie and every TV show. And I remember, I think you wanted me to be in some of you're directing a movie, a student film. I was going to be in it, but I needed a couple figures as payment.
A
couple of rare figures that I got from you.
Yeah.
A couple of variants of animated clone troopers and like the Battlefront Biker Scout. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm really only here. This is all culminated because I want those back. So
probably a long time. I opened them years ago. Sorry.
It's all good. I got that Fordo from you.
Yeah.
That's Palpatine level planning.
Yeah. Secrets only the Sith know. So.
But because we would talk about we would bond over Star Wars back in the day at college and stuff. And you kind of had taken your toes were no longer in the water, but you're kind of dipping them back in when Force Awakens came out and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you pulled me back into the deep end with you.
Yeah, man.
2 years into this, because I had also started and I had done my own Instagram page. It's TVC card designs. It's stuff I want to see in vintage collection that came about I want to do it on Instagram because I know you guys you were cooking stuff up, and I had done reviews and been on forums in the years past, and that all kind of fell away as the internet changed and everything. But I was doing those cards, something visual to show my want list. You brought me into SWTVC from there, and here we are.
Tale as old as time.
Pouring through spreadsheets every the first 3 months of every year for the rest of my life. Apparently, I don't know how that worked out, but
there's no getting out. Once you're in, that's it. There's no getting out.
Yeah.
And the internet does change too. Even Instagram has changed as a platform since we've started. We started and it was a very picture intensive platform. I think that's kind of what Instagram was started for, was a photography platform where people could edit, and sort of an artsy focused platform. I don't think it really is that anymore, at least to a significantly lesser extent. But as it's been trying to compete with TikTok, Reels have become a more important thing. So you've got to incorporate some videos here and there to keep yourself in the algorithm, or else you're just going to get destroyed by stuff that's more engaging and that's propped up by the algorithm. So you have to learn and adapt and overcome, as they say, right? So
I saw Lewis's eye. I saw the fear in your eyes because you know we're going to ask you about the Hera reel soon.
Yeah, it did go through my
Hera-
mind when he started talking about reels. And, oh no, yeah.
Lewis sent us a spicy Hera reel, but we shan't post it.
No.
So it's not appropriate for public consumption.
I've got a proper one, but I needed the carded. I forgot I'd opened it, and I needed the carded version as well to put at the beginning, and so I hadn't finished the reel. I have got that now, and I just haven't done it. So yeah, I'm.
See, so when Instagram adds these great new features, just another thing to add on our ever-growing to-do list. So.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking while Tyler was saying about the algorithm, though. I mean, it's why all of our own personal pages haven't done that well recently. You know, we've plateaued, if you like, in terms of our following, because all of us just put everything into SWTVC really, and occasionally, you know, we'll throw a thing on our own page just to try and keep it alive more than anything. But
Yeah,
I think we can all say algorithms probably killed all of our personal stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we appreciate every last follower. So thank
yeah.
you guys.
We do.
Even that you're the voice, you're the main voice of the podcast, right? So you're the podcast guy as well.
Yeah, so I'm told. I don't listen to it. So, but yeah, yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you. I used to be every now and again I have a couple freelance things. I used to be a freelance podcast editor and producer and whatever.
Right.
So when I was kind of winding stuff down with COVID stuff, I just started a company right when COVID started, and that went under instantly. I was like, great, cool. All right. Time to find other things to do. So I was glad that these guys were agreeable to, you know, putting some of these efforts into making a very niche podcast for 3 3/4 inch Star Wars collecting. Obviously going to be charting right next to all the people that everybody loves, like Conan O'Brien and How Did This Get Made and the SWTVC podcast. No, but it's been a lot of fun. I like to be able to, you know, not only chat with, you know, John, Tyler, Lewis, but, you know, do these kind of live streams with you, Jason, and talk, like you mentioned, talking to people like Tim from Boss Bounty, talking to Bantha Skull, Victoria, John Miko, all of these folks. It's really cool. And, you know, kind of figure out, you know, we haven't done a whole lot. I know I did talk to Sarah Lynn Reynolds. She was a sculptor who did some really cool sculpts for Hasbro. That was one of those How the Sausage Gets Made sort of episodes. Would love to do more of those, but man, it's a logistical nightmare to get all this stuff figured out sometimes, as we all know, because who knew when everybody is just an adult doing normal adult things like having a job and a family and, you know, things to do, that it's not always as easy to find the time to do these kind of things. But yeah, man, it's just a passion project. And Lewis, kind of like what you were saying of, you know, talking to people and having common interests. I think that's a through line for me of what I've enjoyed a lot about this, and getting to be your guys' friends as a part of SWTVC and how we talk all the time. It just reminds me a lot of the innocence of, you know, being a kid. Of course, it's collecting toys, but remember, like the first day of school, like, oh, hey, cool action figure. You want to be friends? Cool. The end. And then that's the basis of 30 years of friendship right there. Someone just was like, cool, we can play Star Wars on the playground at the end. So it's fun. Thank you for playing on the playground with me with these toys and making lightsaber noises with me.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Male friendships, can I say this, seem to be less complicated than female ones. Like, you're right. Like,
you sort of make some caveman grunts, and there you go. Friends for life.
We could have nothing else in common whatsoever, but yep. Hey man, we like these little dolls, so it's cool. We're good.
It's like a appropriate time to highlight this comment. Imagine having a massive collection of kids' toys. You don't have to imagine, bro.
We live it.
Yeah.
It's all good. J Guys Studios is here.
What's up, man?
Hello.
Yo. Yeah.
As Han said, I can imagine quite a bit.
So you get at the end of the year, everyone puts it on the old Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
And then like the songs. So my top podcasts were the SWTVC podcast, number 1. Number
Yes.
2 was Victoria's Vintage Collection podcast, and number 3 was her other podcast. I'm like,
Nice.
I am a nerd.
You have fine taste.
People say like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" Oh, I'm listening to a podcast. They go, "Oh, what's it about?" Thinking I'm trying to, like
Politics or
self-improvement or
sports.
better my
Yeah.
action figures.
No.
It's what I want to listen to.
It's a news
Hell yeah.
podcast.
And
where
they
we
just
try
have
to
this
get
look on their
introspective.
face where they're like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Try being the person who makes, like, produces the podcast, and people are like, "Oh, what's your podcast about?" It's like, I don't know if I want to tell you because I would like to be respected. So
I just say nerd stuff,
yeah.
blanket,
Yeah.
nerd stuff."
Yeah, and the summary of my whole Spotify Wrapped would be 90s heavy metal and Star Wars figure podcast. It's like,
Yeah,
That's a
That
good
works,
blend.
man.
You rock out while you're opening figures. Yeah.
now you're speaking my language.
yeah. So you guys have that segment called Mail Call. I don't want to steal your mail call, but has
Yeah.
anything come in the mail?
I think,
No.
yeah, we totally invented mail call.
Yes,
No one has ever
yes.
done that.
we
so.
we stole.
Our
it
lawyers
from,
will be
Arlie
in
Ermey.
contact.
Well,
What have
you-
we gotten recently?
You can contact bantherskull.com's lawyers because Tyler and I are now officially
That's true.
bantherskull.com employees and subject to their HR department reprimand.
Chris posted one of my
Signed your life
card backs the other
away.
day, so I think I'm. Yeah.
He did.
slightly
You are
ahead.
as well.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Take it
yes,
up with
oh, thank you.
Banter Skull HR then,
Yeah.
John.
I'll check in.
I
I just opened the rest of the after the holidays and everything. I had gotten the Hera and Chopper wave right before Christmas, and then I was gone for a little bit, but finally got to open some of the rest of the wave. I just love Chopper. I love all the droids. I've always loved Chopper, but he's so tiny, but he's a great figure. Love all the features. I know, the Disney Parks one has been fun and awesome, but it's nice to have as many Choppers as they're going to give us, so I'll take them.
I need the Imperial repaint ASAP.
Yes. And the yellow repaint that we did, and
Yeah.
I'll be
everything
right
like
back,
that.
guys. I'm so sorry.
No,
I'll be
you're
right
good.
back.
Lewis gets everything about a year before we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
But then
you,
randomly get something way
I-
after us, though. Like one
Yeah, I was
thing
going to
will be
say,
way
oddly
later.
though, that Thrawn wave didn't come through early for us. So I don't know if they just were giving Tyler a bit of a help there and just make him feel better. But otherwise everything else we've had through early. But I mean, I can't even remember the last thing we had now. It was those. I got the Thrawn wave and what was the other one? They're mixing my heads because we got them
Yeah.
both. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
what was in the
The Hera
second
wave?
waves.
The Hera wave.
Hera, Hera wave, yeah. And so I kind of had this whole kind of thing dumped on me, prior to Christmas. That was so. Yeah, since then I've not had anything in. It's been really quite barren.
I got
the
something.
last thing.
What
Yeah,
did
we
you
got
get?
the
You did.
while Tyler's not here, we'll say we got the Epic
Yeah.
Heroes and the newest retro
Ah.
collection
Yeah.
wave. I'm sorry to you too, but
Yeah. The I opened. I took one for the team, I guess, and I opened up a set of the Epic Heroes. It's just the deluxes that came out. They're the ones that are $14.99 US. Sabine and Paz. So I don't really care for them, but I did post
Yeah.
some comparison photos on Instagram just to kind of see how they scale with TVC, with retro, just kind of what we're looking at, what folks can expect if they are interested in that, because I know there is a non-negligible subset of folks that are interested in the lesser quality things. But so I was just trying to be somewhat helpful with that. Turn my bad situation of, hey, I bought this thing and I don't like it, but maybe I'll just post some photos and people can look. So
Thank you for doing that for all of us.
it is my pleasure.
I think I might buy one just to throw it in the garden.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how far it'll go. I'm not even going to open it. I'll just scrunch it up.
Yeah.
how
Oh
many
man.
figures are in your garden now? You're gonna have like a Krennic tree growing up soon.
I found
Farming,
Krennic.
really?
A few
Yeah.
days later, I was weed whacking and I found Krennic. I was like, oh, it's Krennic.
Yeah.
Just wiped a bit of dirt off his head and he's in here somewhere.
He saw you doing weed whacking and he said, "Farming, really?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man of your talents.
Man of your
It's
talent.
such a simple life. Nicely done. What have you got, Tyler?
Well, I've got to find my my 5 POA Krennic so that I can do Trash Can Chronicles Volume 3. But I may have already thrown him away. I'm not sure. I can't find it. So it's probably in one of my bags upon bags of spare figures that are not on display currently. But I do have Krennic. He's over there. I should have him. I have all these figures on my desk that I can just bring up for the stream, but Krennic's over there. So, but yeah, I have the latest wave. I am currently saving for an absurd amount of Night Troopers. I have something really special planned. I think that people are gonna like, but it's gonna be expensive to get it done. It's gonna be real expensive. But but yeah, that's my mail call. I guess I just have the latest stuff that everybody else has got in. I guess Revan's great, Hera's great, Krennic is awesome. Just the past 2 waves have been fantastic. I can't wait to see what they're cooking up next. So,
Yeah.
Well, Finn and Cassian, but after that, maybe.
Sorry. Anybody got a paper bag? Oh man.
Our pigs actually in physical stores are like stocked full of the current wave and weirdly really old waves. Yeah, the other day, wife said we're going shopping to buy one of our kids' shoes, and I was like, I don't really want to go shopping, but I found the pre-visitor, so I was happy.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's like bribing a child to go shopping. It's like,
Yeah.
have a look at the Star Wars section.
Mom, as long as we can go to the toy store.
Yeah, exactly.
Toy aisle.
Literally, while they were in the shoe store trying on shoes, I went to like 5 different toy places and bought 2 figures. Yeah, it's a great figure. But also weirdly, so the only wave we ever got in New Zealand before anybody else was that Darth Vader Dark Times wave.
Right.
It's restocking again. Like
Wow.
we got it in June last year. It's like
Wow.
it's crazy. And so you can just rock up and buy 3 Dark Times Vader. Yeah, that's an awesome figure as well.
Yeah, at least it is one of the best figures of all time, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those figures that deserves to be back on pegs. Actually, people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If they did like what is it, the A-list or archive or whatever they're doing for Black Series, if they just did twice a year, if they just sent a wave to stores of like the really hot figures like Dark Times Vader or even the Death Star 2 Vader and like Darth Revan and a Stormtrooper, like that'd be cool.
Yeah. They sort of do that, except they just create a brand new line with all those characters that you just mentioned.
True.
In a
Yes.
different scale.
Yeah.
Different standards.
Yeah, which is a bummer, but yeah, going back to the store thing, anytime I go shopping with my girlfriend, she always looks at me and she's like, "Do we need to go to your section now?"
She
Yes.
knows. Yes.
Get it over with.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even bother anymore over here. Stores are just so hit and miss over here in terms of what you can get. There was places like HMV were stocking them at one point. They seem to be pulling out of Star Wars stuff again now. I mean, you're seeing spatterings of stuff, but unless you're going into somewhere like Forbidden Planet or an actual collector's store, then really, I don't know. They're Denmark.
Uh-oh.
Oops.
We've lost England.
I don't want him revealing secrets.
Yeah.
God save the king, Lewis.
Oh, did you lose me then? Sorry.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
There
there
you
he is.
go.
Welcome back. Thank God.
I was just doing my impression of Star Wars figures in stores.
Yeah.
But you had them before everybody else. UK's like killing it for getting stuff before everyone else.
But through the Fran channels, I mean, obviously, stores like Star Action Figures, In Demand Toys, I mean, they're nailing it for us, and they have done for a long while. And without those guys, we would be stuffed. I mean, there was a time really when we did struggle to get stuff, and I was buying things from Entertainment Earth and stuff like that just to get them, over here. But they've made a big difference for us. But I was saying to the guys the other day, it's interesting when people ask about, oh, was this figure a fan channel figure or was this an exclusive? I struggle to keep up with that because for us, everything comes from the same place. So, whether it's fan channel exclusive or whatever, it all comes from, say, Star Action figures. So I struggle with that. But those guys do us a great service. They're really good.
Yeah. It's weird here because we're just a tiny little couple of islands, the bottom of the world. It's like last on Hasbro's list. There's not even a Hasbro New Zealand anymore. It's like Hasbro Australia. But what it means is like some stuff that comes out that's like Walmart exclusive or Target exclusive. We just go, we don't know whether it's going to turn up or not. And sometimes it turns up at like the main stores in huge numbers. So it's just a bit random.
To be fair, if something says Walmart exclusive here, we also probably don't know when it's when or where it's gonna show up. So
that's true, and I'm
if
probably more likely to get it than you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So forgive my ignorance. So obviously you have like collector stores, shops that you can depend on for product, right? But like, does Entertainment Earth or Big Bad ship out there, or any of the like US fan channels?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so I used Big Bad Toy Store a lot for a while, and then the exchange rate went, and so I don't use them as much anymore. But for years, I was definitely pre-ordering stuff through then just to make sure I got it. I actually got my N1 Mandalorian N1 Starfighter. That was probably the last big purchase I got from Big Bad Toy Store. So by the time they had it for I think 130 US. So by the time you add in shipping prices have gone insane, and then taxes, it was like 200 US.
Yeah.
But they got it earlier than anyone here.
What's the Hasbro Pulse situation down there these days?
The Hasbro Pulse situation is that there is no Hasbro Pulse down here.
Okay.
But there is a guy who's based out of Taiwan, Return of the Nerd, and he gets the 4-packs. And so I just message him over Messenger or chat, and he sends me a PayPal link, and away we go. And it takes
Garrett, isn't it? I've had a few things from Gary. He does a good service.
Yeah, great service.
And Southeast Asia gets things pretty much before anybody else, right? I mean, we've seen what I remember. The first example I remember was I think it was like Fives or one of the 501st ARC Troopers. They got them like way before everybody else. And then what are some other examples, guys? I know they got
Morak Boba Fett
that's another one.
They're real fast.
Yep.
Well, I guess they're close to the factories, right? So
yeah,
exactly.
They just walk right out with it and take pictures of it and put it online, and there you go.
Yeah,
a lot of times you'll see it from what is it, Singapore, right? We'll see stuff.
I think
Singapore.
so. Yeah. There's some guy. There's a collector's like warehouse shop called Frankensons out here, and there's one guy there that always has stuff really early. I don't know. Maybe he just like flies to Southeast Asia every week or something. He just brings suitcases full of stuff back or something. But
I would love to go to that place. It's like a con, but it all
pretty much
belongs to him, right? So it's
I haven't been in a while. Because it's like different booths or whatever. So one guy gets stuff really early, and other people might, have old, Marvel figures from 6 years ago or whatever. But
gotcha.
So.
But so that's kind of like a con, basically going to a con.
Yeah, pretty much.
Almost,
yeah. I haven't been in a while.
He smuggles the figures in underneath the heroin, so he
Oh, good. They just found the heroin.
It's like when you guys do come to New Zealand, it's quite funny because our like security is, I won't say too laid back, but it's pretty chill, right? They'll probably call you bro, and what they are really concerned about is fruit. So don't bring a banana, don't bring an apple. The heroin, that's fine. Just, hey bro, you got any bananas? No, okay, you're good. Okay, where you go? It's cool. Just don't bring fruit.
I live in the desert tundra. There's no fruit to be found here. Dirt, snow, and tumbleweeds.
That's where frozen berries come from.
Yeah. Well, are they berries? They're a little brown, and there's a lot of wildlife around. I don't know if they're berries, but
Evan's got to go set up the perimeter markers here in a little while. Make sure
Yeah.
the Empire doesn't come visit him.
Oh man, yeah, dude. It's tauntaun weather outside.
Yeah.
Is that Quillish? Hasbro delivers to Ireland now. Top of the morning to you. Well, it's not morning, is it? But
$300 for an apple. Oh my gosh.
Whew.
That's an expensive apple, man.
$300.
Man.
Whoa, yeah.
Wow.
Macintosh these days.
it
Wow,
before
they're expensive.
Yeah.
How is March Madness going? How many entries have you got so far?
It is going splendidly.
Great.
We grow every single year. John, you can go ahead and give a precise number, but I just like to say that it's been a really successful year so far. We're only 13 days into January, not even halfway through the month, and we've exceeded last year's list numbers by quite a large margin, and last year was by far our biggest year so far. So we're again on track to just grow exponentially. Every year the event gets bigger, and it's in large part thanks to our community allies, but also just individual people sharing their lists and getting involved. And Evan's template for creating everybody's top 25 has been just essential to the proliferation of these images all over online right now. So it's really wonderful, and I just want to say thank you to every single person who's participating by posting up their list. You guys inspire other people to get involved, and that's so much more advertising than we could possibly do by ourselves. So and we want to involve everybody that we can. We want every single last TVC collector to get their list in, every single one. We want your voice to be heard. So it's great. But I'll pass it off to you, John. So.
I'm looking at it right now. We did get yours. Yours was number 675. Thank you, Jason. I was about to get real stern if you didn't, but it shows 800. We're almost at 850 lists. There's a few. We're gonna have to go through. There was a couple that, like, as we said before, one guy submitted the same list with like very slightly different email addresses, and it's like we could tell. We're gonna notice that kind of stuff there.
There's one list as well that Evan flagged, which is just Frog Lady. That's it.
Oh, I didn't see that one yet. Yeah.
We're gonna count it because I love it. That's confidence.
Pong Krell 25 times.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not a ton of that. So it's well over 800 now. Yeah, because the first year we got like 125 lists. Second year was about 430-ish, and then last year was 670-ish. I say ish because sometimes it's like the lists. I kind of know what they're saying, but I kind of don't. So I don't know if we can officially count them or whatever. But people that say I want all the Knights of Ren. Well, can you get a little more specific than that? But yeah, so it's going real well this year, and happy to have the Google submission form, one place for everybody to submit it.
Yes.
Which is like I said before, what they did for Last Figure Standing, and then we had a Google poll last year for the voting, and that helped as well to kind of spread it around. So this is just nice to have, instead of saying come to our socials and click this thing, it's just like here's a link, everybody can share it out and find it there. So I think that's also been helpful, and much like Evan's template. So yeah, it's going. We're kind of not going too crazy looking at the data so far at this point. The last 3 years, I would be looking in the comments section of every random website that posted it, and trying to like copy them over and double checking them with other sites. So this has made it a lot easier. There will still be plenty of work ahead of us, but so far it's going well, I think.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot about best practices for how to run it over the years. It's been a learning curve. I think. I mean, I don't want to speak for Evan and John, but I think that we've honed it and gotten better year over year, and we've also gotten better about what we need to say to effectively communicate what we want to see on these lists and what we don't want to see. But we still get wacky lists, like people will put like option 14 Rancor. I'm like, dude, that's not. Come on, man.
I
Is that
saw
a
a couple
sticker?
wampas in here.
It's supposed to fit on a standard, figure card. Okay, that's what we're
Yeah.
looking for here.
Well, even people listing 4-packs as well, don't they? But I mean, I know sometimes if
Yeah.
it's an army builder, you could still put that figure on a card, so it does count. But
Mm.
it's not a 4-pack.
Yeah.
I
It's
put
nice to get these
Rebel.
ideas. Yeah, but
Yeah, I put Endor Rebel Commando in my list this year with the view of get it out again and then get it into a 4-pack.
Yeah. Well-
But I think the other thing is every now and then I hear, you see a comment and people are like, oh, what's the point of doing this? Hasbro's not going to make it anyway, but they do. And I know you guys are like really careful not to take any credit for what comes out, but you have to say from the last 3 years of March Madness, that has had a massive impact on, you look at the number of figures that have been made and you think of like Bo-Katan, Count Dooku, Paz Vizsla, Pre Vizsla, Chrysanthemum, all those ones that were high up in the bracket over those years. And Hasbro said they look at the list, you're doing their market research for them, and then they've got last figure standing, so they know we want a Batman skull.
Yeah.
And they've got all this. They got all this
Yeah,
data,
I mean-
and it's thanks to
and
you
we-
guys.
And we said in post that like obviously some of this stuff is in development. Like Bo-Katan only came out like less than a year after she won, so obviously she was already in development. It takes 12 to 18 months or whatever. But and then you can advocate. You can look down the. We always released all the list information as well and everything on the bracket. So they, it's interesting that a lot of them have been made. We just did an update. We're doing updates every week of the previous years, and I think 36 of the 64 figures from the first year have now entered the line, which is just awesome to see that, because Hasbro is listening. Like they want people to everybody's got, the 5 of us have 5 different wish lists. 100 people have 100 different wish lists. So it's what are the things that are recurring in all these lists that people can sort of agree on, maybe.
Yeah. It's kind of to take kind of a quick read of the room and see what the overall community priorities and consensus around certain things can be. Where does that lie? And we've mentioned this before, just seeing where those priorities of the community, where do they overlap with what Hasbro's priorities are, and again, doing the market research thing. The best part is that we don't get benefits or paid for it. That's awesome. But that is, give Hasbro the confidence to maybe do these things that they otherwise would not have maybe been as confident to do, like things like Velkin Taziri, where you've got disparate voices around wanting them, and then you start getting John Miko banging the drum for that, and a petition and whatnot for that. But then he starts reoccurring and becoming a very popular name in terms of the fan discourse around the vintage collection and things we'd like to see build out. So again, by no means am I saying taking any credit for this. Just it's cool to be able to kind of boost the profile or get people sort of thinking a little pragmatically about, how they want Hasbro to approach the vintage collection and how, we all kind of as fans and collectors approach the vintage collection.
Yeah. And, like you were saying, Jason, which, we appreciate very much. We are careful to try not to take credit for anything because, what Hasbro decides to make is what Hasbro decides to make. All we can do is provide them the best data that we possibly can. But we can say for sure, definitively, when people say, what does this matter? Hasbro doesn't pay attention to this anyway, blah, blah. That's absolutely not true. We've heard from them directly on multiple occasions that they very much do pay attention to this. We've seen, Emily participate in comments on streams, and they've never shouted out specifically, the TVC March Madness bracket, but they've used the word bracket and fan polls and other stuff many times on streams. So all that to say, your voice does matter, guys, and getting involved in this stuff is very helpful, because the higher the number of participation that we can gather, the more statistically impactful and what's the word I'm looking for? Significant. Statistically significant is the phrase that Chris Swansky likes to use. So, but yeah, it's true. The more participation, the better. because it just and what's also interesting too is that despite the fact that year over year this event grows every single year by a lot year over year. It's what's interesting is that the characters that make it into the bracket are shockingly consistent. And so, you've got certain characters like, the Second Sister Inquisitor, Jedi Temple Guard,
Pong Krell,
Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. There's a bunch of characters that have been on the bracket every single year and are also projected to be on the bracket for the 4th time in a row.
And that
shows a lot of consistency.
And what's also interesting there, Tyler, is the ones that do get made, you see the ones below come up, shift up through that list, don't they? So, yes, you get the odd newcomer come in, Balin and Shin are 2 examples of ones that I think will do well this year. And I'm sure they'll jump straight in up there. But otherwise, you definitely get that core of characters that we've seen, like, say, the last 3 years. And I'm sure most of them, if not all of them, will be here again.
And that carried into some stuff like Last Figure Standing too, where there was a lot of overlap in the characters that you saw in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the Tonikas and Hammerhead have done very well. They've been on all 3 years of the bracket as well, and they're always like hovering near the top 15. But now that most of the top 10 have been made over the past 3 years, they'll probably do even better this time.
And there is, of course, in March Madness itself, I know we're talking about March. It's January. No, nobody has a head injury. We know it's January. It's just that there is the elimination component to it, where it's the head-to-head in March. But overall, the whole driving force behind all of this March Madness stuff is very much celebration of all of it, celebration of Star Wars, and we want more, we want it all. It's very much trying to gear it towards that positivity of, what do you want to see first? Like, what do you want? Like, what do you like? As opposed to just like, what do you want at the expense of, and trying to really try to champion for all of it and be like, yes, we want that expansive figure line.
As nice as it would be to, if Hasbro were in a place where they could make everything all the time, we all want it all at once.
Yeah.
We all wish that were the case, obviously, but unfortunately, they do have to make choices, and we have to prioritize things.
Yeah,
as much as we don't want that to be, that is the case. So, it's just getting some fun in there, getting the hashtag fight for Frog Lady or do it for Dryden or bring me Ben Solo or whatever else we do.
The wacky hashtags are half the fun. So
hashtag mailless shit.
Yeah, I did just see your mailless shirt post. I was looking for your mailless.
I think what makes it fun with the 64 as well is that you're not just getting those main characters, you are seeing some of those secondary characters getting through. So, like you mentioned Velkin earlier, Evan, and yes, he didn't go through and win the tournament by any standard, but just consistently getting on there. He's never going to necessarily be up against the main character. He's never necessarily going to win that, but just to be consistently on there shows that he's wanted. And I think that's what's great about the 64 as a whole. It doesn't really matter what goes on to win the bracket. I think it's nice to get that whole overview.
Especially, I've said it before. Sorry, Jason,
it's okay.
Want to say real quick, when we're talking about gathering 800 plus lists of characters that people put in their want lists, we're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of characters. I mean, John, you can speak to how many.
Thousands. It was like
thousands,
almost 1,500 characters last year, I think, something like that.
So when you're talking about distilling that down to 64, it is a badge of honor to make it into the tournament and be one of those 64, because there's just hundreds upon hundreds of characters that don't make the cut. So that's a valuable nugget of data alone, the top 64, so.
Yeah, that's the real data. The tournament itself is the fun part, and having fun with the information, the measurable data.
Yeah.
But sorry, Jason,
no, that's okay. That's okay. That's that was going to say before that's part of, like, I know you guys are being humble about this and not trying to claim credit, and I absolutely respect you for doing that. So I'm going to be the SWTVC shill and say you guys are making a massive difference. Like, you really are, and like you say, like a couple of comments on a website saying I want Velkin Talzeri. Like, what the hell does Hasbro do with that? but then you've got all this data that you've backed it up and go, actually, hundreds of people want Valken Tazeri, so it gets made. And just to your point, Lewis, I wanted to check in on your well-being because you mentioned consistency. You've had Dryden Voss at the top of your list every year. Tyler's got his Thrawn. John's getting his Hu Yang. Evan got his Obi-Wan Kenobi in the 2-pack this year. I know you want Good Boy Sweater Ben Solo, but you seem to be the most neglected of all.
Yeah, I know full well he's never going to go on and win the tournament. I know at the moment Solo is a long way off from being on the radar probably for Hasbro. And as a character, I can't even see him popping up anytime soon in anything, new media or anything like that. But I just think it's important to keep banging that drum on some of those figures that we missed out on. I've said this so many times, but I'm going to say it again anyway. But for me, when Black Series got Dryden announced, I kind of thought, oh, cool, we'll get him next, and we didn't. And for me, that was that point when I really started feeling like we're getting left behind. We're getting, and Holdo is the other one actually, is the other figure that was quite stand out at that change. And so for me, it's been as much about that. Again, what we're talking about, why we're here and why I'm at SWTVC and why we do what we do. That was really one of the turning points for me, because it was like, hang on, we don't want to be left behind. We want 3.75 TVC. We want that to get those figures as well. And that's why I think it's important to keep Dryden up there and to keep him, in people's minds. And I'm pleased to say I've seen him on a lot of lists, actually. It's not just me. I've seen him top of lists as well. Yeah, top of other people's lists. So, let's hope
I see 144 currently.
Yeah,
wow.
It's good.
Oh yeah, he's almost certainly gonna make it in.
That's to start out. Yeah,
that's a very considerable number of mentions. So
and you talk about that wave. Sorry, John. That when Black Series had Dryden Voss and Holdo, and how that was kind of a turning point for you, but also both those characters probably didn't sell that well in Black Series and are quite far in the rearview mirror now. So there's a bit of a struggle to catch up. Sorry, John.
No, but just like you say, and then like his Aqualish Doug just commented, like it takes time for this stuff to come to fruition. So like some people might get, let's say it's been, how long has it been since Solo? 8 years at this point, which is nuts. Or 6 years, I don't know, but a million years, 40 years.
Yeah.
Too long, but yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, it took the fact that it took 45 years to get a life day Chewie, and that's like, I've been waiting for that for a long time. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. It took, since 2016, took 8 years, almost 7. I can't do math. 7 years to get a Krennic.
That's a good sign.
Collection quality.
And some people have been waiting 40 years for Atonica Sisters, So
Yep.
You're in it for the long haul. I think that's collecting anyway, isn't it? We're in this for the long haul.
It took 40 years to get Valken and Tame and some of these other guys, but
I think the other valuable thing about characters like Dryden making it into the bracket, especially every single year in a row. He's been on 3 years out of 3 so far, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what's really valuable about that is, a lot of times people worry that if a figure doesn't do so well in Black Series, like for example, what's an example?
The client.
The client. Yes, that's exactly the prime example that I was thinking of. The client, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have created so much for that, season 1 finale around the cantina. They've made the Imperial troop transport. They've made the cantina. They've made the E-Web. They've made the incinerator trooper. They've made Grogu with the flames around him. They've made all that stuff to build out that scene, except the client who dies, just prior to all that stuff in the cantina.
And Grief Karga as well.
And Grief Karga, right. Mm-hmm. But all that to say, like, what doesn't sell in Black Series, that's got nothing to do with us. Yeah. Not interested in I don't care. We want to be able to fill out our scenes. That's what world building is about. So, what doesn't sell in that other scale should have no bearing on, what we say that we want. And so that's why it's so important when we show consistency for Dryden or the client or things that Ewok Leia, maybe, for example. I don't know if she's going to make it in the bracket. We'll see. But, there are certain things that Black Series collectors may not be interested in, but that we absolutely are interested in. And so it's very important to show that with hard numbers, that the interest is there, and that, we still want that stuff produced for our scale. So
the client's dead though, right? So do you want like a 0 POA?
Yeah. Put him in Epic Hero Series.
And then
For
and
kids.
And Lewis, you can get Dryden Voss. They could make that massive rocket palace party venue thing that he's got in his hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Solo as a whole, I mean, he represents Solo, but Solo as a whole has got some really toyetic stuff in it. And I think as much as we had some, the 5 POA bits and pieces, it just got overlooked too much for my liking. I think we needed more.
Yeah.
Baze is always high on the list.
Baze is another,
I'm with Aquilish on that. We need him to. When we got Chirrut Imwe, I was like, yes, Baze is coming.
That was 3-4 years ago now. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
But everybody's forgetting Bodhi. Don't forget my boy Bodhi. Come on, man.
And Saw. We need Saw too.
Yes.
Yeah. Bodhi Rook. Local boy.
Yeah, Krennic's nice, but
that's because
Runner makes a valid point that Grief peg-warmed in both scales as well.
Yeah,
I think it's because they made the wrong one. People wanted the season 1 version.
I don't think season 2 peg-warmed that bad in TVC. I saw him more in Black Series.
I don't think he did too bad.
I think people also really throw the word peg-warm around quite liberally.
Yeah.
Which,
oh my gosh,
I get it, but it's not. Lando is a peg warmer. Reva, peg warmer for sure. Characters that have been around for a couple of years. Yeah. But I kind of think, even though I joked about how 9 Num was a huge peg warmer, I just checked my stores and he's gone finally from my local stores. They sell eventually. And then
that is available for purchase in a store is not.
Yeah.
In fact, there was on the Facebook page the other day, someone was like, "Here it is peg warming," and it's like,
she's been out for
here
less
it
than a
is
month.
not peg warming. She's just coming out.
Yeah.
2 months ago,
in a couple of months.
Yeah, it'll be. Why don't they have figures in stores? This is the worst thing ever. It's like, well,
yeah.
And then if it's in a store, product is in stock. They're like, oh, it's peg warming. It's like,
well, I mean, I think I mentioned that. I mentioned that in a group chat the other day. Where I did. Both my Walmarts do have figures from, of course, not some of the hot ones, but they sold through the most recent 2 waves, like day 1 when they got them, they were gone. But they did a second or third order of each wave, and now there's 3 full pegs of figures. And I looked at that, I'm so trained from being chronically online that I was just like, ugh, yeesh, look at all these peg warmers. But then I looked and I was like, you know what? That's actually, if I was not, knee deep in all this stuff, and I was like, oh, what do the Star Wars figures have? And I flipped through and I was like, oh, cool, a Luke. Oh, look, a Mandalorian of some kind, like just going through and seeing all of these characters that I either just saw or I'm familiar with. It's like, oh, cool, there's a selection. There's more than just 20 Landos and a Reva or something. There's a variety of things to get now. And they have been selling because, again, I go to my section quite frequently to go look, and things do slowly trickle away. So,
yeah, you're right.
I really need to buy all those Landos at mine and drive like 30 or 40 minutes away and make them somebody else's friggin' problem and return them over there. Just get them out of my Walmart. Go away.
Somebody started an Instagram account. It was called the Lando Project, and they started buying up Landos, but they just seemed to just stop for some reason.
Well,
there's still Landos out there.
Money is finite. Those Landos are not.
Lando is forever.
That's a crazy one because there was a long wanted figure in the community for a long time. Very, very popular.
3 per case though. Yeah, 3 per case.
Yeah.
And it seemed like around that time they were overproduced the cases as well, so like there was just a lot to go around. But I feel like none of the Evo and IG-11 and Emperor didn't peg worm at all.
Bo-Katan sat around a bit because again seemed to be a lot of them. But surely the only thing that should be 3 per case is an army builder. I can't see any, even a main character. And we were talking about Thrawn the other day, wasn't we, Tyler? And you said, oh, it would always sell. And I think to a degree, I mean, it's sold out over here, so I'm sure it would sell if they gave us more. But I think there is saturation point. There's a point when every figures, people are going to go, okay, I've already got You know, how many have you got? 20 throngs already? You know, you don't need more. So
The good news is you could, if you're good at customizing, you could make other custom Grand Admirals, maybe.
That's
But,
fun. I like that.
that's
You
great.
know, but no, but you're right. Every figure does have a saturation point, unless it's the definitive, you know, perfect Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
But you can never have too many of those.
That should have been a mainline 3 per case thing. So that's why I'm curious how they're going to handle that with the what is it, the refresh or reissue of it that they're doing this year.
I do want to make one point though, and we heard this from Emily directly in a comment section somewhere. I can't remember if it was Facebook or I think it was on Facebook. She jumped in a comment section and explained why Lando was 3 per case, and it wasn't because they were just willy-nilly like, let's make Lando 3 per case because that's a wonderful idea. Like that's not how that happened. And so I just want to, you know, not to sound like a corporate shill here, but to defend Hasbro on this, like what happens is that the case ratios are a result of what is able to be produced by the factories at certain times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just works out that they can put 3 Landos in a case because that's what they're able to do. And, you know, and sometimes that makes a disastrous outcome, but,
And we can see those cases change too. I think it did happen. Speaking of Grief Karga, that happened with that wave with him in Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, where was it Grief that was supposed to be 3 per? Was there someone supposed to be 3 per case and they ended up only being 2?
Someone was supposed to be 1. His
Or
Grogu
1
was
per
supposed to be
case,
3, and he ended up being 2 per case.
That's right. That's right. So,
This might be a good point to touch on something that I've learned a little bit about. So one part of it was from that Q&A that I got to do on behalf of Banther Skull. And Chris had that great question
congrats on
about
that, by the way.
Thank you. That was fun.
You did great.
Yeah.
yeah, that was cool.
I was so pumped for 4:20 in the morning when I woke up. To do that.
Oh my God, that sounds horrible.
Because Chris said, I just put kind of semi-jokingly in the comments of Banther Skull, he said he couldn't make it. And I said, you should outsource that to your New Zealand branch. And he private messaged me and he said, are you serious? Do you want to do it? And I was like, sure, man, if you trust me. He said, yeah, I totally trust you. And I said, and I asked him the time, and then I converted it. It's like, okay, I'll get up early, do that before work. All good.
Yep.
But
That's
anyway,
so cool,
really,
though.
it was fun. I really, really appreciate Chris for that.
For context, I still haven't done one of those, so
Hey.
that should make you feel extra proud.
I had to take the day off work for it. So Tyler, if you're ever game to take a day off work for it, I'll trade.
But that question about the FX7 elbows and Chris's answer was effectively, we can't make that figure anymore. So talking to another guy, a friend of mine, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying, Daniel, he works on a toy line, a different toy line. And so he's sort of like head of the design, and he's been saying something similar, like the factories seem to be pushing back a lot more than what they used to. And so maybe the factories have a bit more power. So in that, that Lando thing, where, as Emily said, we didn't want to have it 3 per case, but the factory kind of did it. That minimum wall thickness thing is something the factories are definitely pushing back on. Yep. And so to me, it's it's profit margins, it's failure rates. The thinner or smaller something is, the more likely it is going to fail. So,
well, I think with that, going back to the Lando wave itself, IG-11 was in that wave, and I remember I did pick up a bunch of that figure. The first one I have, the elbows did end up tearing because it's that softer plastic, and they're very small, thin parts. So I did have some tearing happen on the joints on that. So that's not me saying, don't articulate these small things. Find a way to do it. But like, yeah.
Well, I know it's an issue that, and Tyler's passionate about it, that some of the black weapons especially are kind of gummy, like the Clone Trooper rifles for some reason. And I know that they can't make it like too brittle because then it will break in half, and you'll shoot your eye out with a Clone Trooper rifle or whatever. You poke your eye out or whatever. But like some of the retro Boba Fett figures, and I know, but they are really sturdy this wave for some reason. So I don't know if they're a little chunkier usually by nature than some of the finer details of the vintage collection stuff. But so I don't know if, I'm sure it's an ongoing process. I do want to July through November.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, can we highlight that one?
Yeah,
because refresh in the toy industry just means repack. It's a package refresh. So literally nothing is different about the item inside, other than maybe photoreal deco, since it's like just a different deco process. And there might be a difference.
Unfortunately, he won't have the new hips. That would be a retool.
Yeah.
So
or partial tool, yeah.
Or partial
tool,
yeah.
newly clean, whatever. But yeah, when they say refresh, it's weird because it is a repack. That's what we call it. So the fans call it. But yeah, so there's your
ironically, there's nothing fresh about a refresh.
And then reissue is when the packaging also isn't changed, or it might be with the warning labels and whatever. But
is there?
Yes,
yeah,
that's also a refresh. I think in the
yeah,
industry term they also call that a refresh. I don't think there's any. Let's not go down.
I mean, even the photo reel stuff they refer to as refresh, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IG12, I've got IG12 on my list. Do I want it?
Nice.
Yes.
See, that's
Yes.
will he have? Yeah. Will he have elbows? Because as we know, with Bo-Katan, they took the wrists off, didn't they? Because they were now saying that the factory couldn't do it, even though we've seen other female Mandalorians have it. So, is it going to be a case of them saying, "Well, actually, we can't do that now"? It's worrying if that's the case.
Can we fit this guy inside of IG-11? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
I suspect it will be molded in, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to put a little Anzelin in there though too. I want a little open them up and
hey,
hello, bad baby.
no
squeezy.
Yeah, I'd be happy if it was molded in. If Grogu was molded in, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, he's probably gonna have to be.
Yeah. Still have articulated arms and heads, but if he's plopped in there,
and a Comtech chip, so he can go yes.
No.
You can buy all those Force links up at all the discount retailers of the world.
Yeah.
Oh my
He's
God.
a Force link chip.
Comtech chips are the best. I think the best part about the Comtech chips is that even though they must have had access to like stuff, but they hired actors who sounded nothing like the characters to do the voice, and in completely different tones.
Yeah.
Darth Maul especially was, "At last, we will have revenge."
Yeah.
Like, where does he sound like that in the movie?
The Republic is not what it once was.
I think they had to be like super clear because like the chip quality was so bad or something. I think
It's so good. It's so bad it's good. It's one of those.
Core memory right there.
Who was, speaking of on the elbow conversation, I know Miko posted an 8D8. I forget who was that, Outer Rim Customs? Who was that?
It's so true.
Yeah.
They were just they were dialing it in that day. It's WTVC's here in the comments.
Wow.
Again.
Woo! Timestamp and see if Tyler was actually laughing out loud. Outer Rim Traders, thank you, Toys of the Way. Outer Rim Traders did a great 8D8, which looks exactly like, I haven't compared, but it looks to me exactly like the Hasbro one, and it's got elbows that can move up. And
I just to speak on this topic real quick, I think that the 3D printing community is just really doing the Lord's work. I mean, it's really nice too to see the sort of the product library expand for 3.75 because there's so many people doing 6-inch stuff. It's like, all right, guys, like we get it, but like we want stuff too. Like make stuff for 3.75 too. It's not like we've not existed for 40 years or whatever, but but no, it's nice for those those few people who do make stuff for 3.75. Just to name a few, like you said, Outer Rim Traders. Audie's Workshop, Aldobi, is it Aldomi or Aldobi Trooper? One or the other. Can't remember, but there's a few of them out there.
Hole in the ground.
Hole in the ground. And you guys are just kind of, I gotta be honest, they're eating Hasbro's lunch with a lot of the stuff that they're putting out that Hasbro's just not making. And for better or worse, but I'm glad that there's so many talented people in the community that are taking the initiative to fill in the gaps in stuff that we need. And it's just awesome to see what people are making these days. I mean, it's just incredible.
But this goes to, I think, maybe to segue a little bit into the whole world building aspect of 3.75. And so you've got all those, and you guys did a really good podcast with the Hole in the Ground Productions, and you asked him straight out, like 6-inch or 3.75, and he said it's not even close. It's like something like 95% of his sales are 3.75. But one thing Hasbro has absolutely been nailing it for us, especially last year, has been the play sets and the environments. And honestly, when the indoor bunker came out, I was so happy. I was absolutely overjoyed because I've been looking for one for a long time, and it was just perfect for my display. And then they surrounded it with the ATST and the speeder bikes and all that.
Yep.
And then the Boba Fett's palace, and it's just like, whoa, last year was
that's an amazing piece. Just the detail that goes into that's amazing.
And I really sincerely hope that they keep doing that. I hope that they keep making stuff at the $50 or $60 price point range, like the Tantive hallway Tantive hallway, right, or the cantina. I want to see more stuff like that. I'm shocked that they haven't done an Imperial version of the Tantive hallway yet. But that's a prime opportunity for them, where they would make oodles and oodles of cash. I can't believe they haven't done it yet. But
it is nice. We can pretty much expect one every year. Usually it's the first half of the year, so hopefully there's something coming up soon. I don't know, but
and hopefully they keep putting stuff out. At the the palace price point. Sort of the extra large or large.
The non-HasLabs.
Yeah.
Cantina, Mos Eisley Cantina, and that sort of size would be.
That might have to be a HasLab. That if they that, I mean, it would probably be pretty large, but
But you know what they've done with it? The Jabba's Palace. Let's call it what it is. It's not Boba Fett.
Yes.
But you could have a set that's sort of that size, which has like the bar and the distillery and sort of that main area, and then you could have smaller. You could sell the alcove separately, potentially.
Yeah.
What
different characters,
what we thought they were going to do when they brought out the the Han Solo and Carbonite wall, and it's like, oh, cool, this is going to join up with other bits.
But,
not quite, but I love that idea.
You can just put the walls this way or that way. It's like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But, sure.
Jason,
it does kind of help
with
shelving, but
highlight. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
Can you highlight Aqualish Doug's comment there for his refresh comment?
I know the term. Already. It's called a regret.
Yes, although it can be a bongo. We need a
different
bongo.
reword, but it's not politically correct. So I won't mention that.
Sure,
we'll go with that.
Yeah. But it was also nice to get so many. I think we got 5 vehicles last year. The 2 speeder bikes.
Yeah, bongo.
Slave One again, ATST again, and the N1, plus the Ghost coming down. So hopefully they do that. I know the speeder bikes kind of went to clearance because Target and Walmart can't help but clearance things for after 5 seconds. But a bongo would be amazing. I know that's been on the bubble a few times, but
that's the really unfortunate thing with those retailers is that they're just so, especially I guess Target, right, is they're so quick to clearance stuff, and then they turn around and go back to Hasbro like this stuff isn't selling. It's like it just hit pegs 5 minutes ago, and you're already like, it's not selling fast enough, so mark it down.
People can't buy what they can't find, or if you get it 6 to 8 months after it was supposed to come out, and the target demographic already bought it, so.
So retail in New Zealand's different, so it's not like starts at full price and then later gets clearance, but there's often sales and they're like periodic, and so the toy sales always coincide with the school holidays. So when my kids were little, I used to drag them, when you knew it's like it's coming out this Friday, and you'd be there, and if it wasn't up there, I'd harass the shop assistants. It'll be out the back. And they drag out the pallet, and you're digging through it, and my kids are like,
"Go look in the back."
but what also used to happen was that quite often the stuff would come out, and it would be in the middle of the school holidays, so it'd have like 25% off toys. So like right off the bat, you'd get it at a discount. It's fun.
Well, they'll do that here. They'll do like Toys R Us used to have amazing sales like around the Christmas season, or like buy two get one free. I've stocked up on a lot of TVC that way, or like Army Builders when they had the Saga Legends line running concurrently with it, or just stuff like that. And Target will still have like good, buy $50 get $25 off or whatever.
Yeah.
So now and then. I will be right back though.
Can I just say thank you, Hal Runner Base. The barge is about the only thing I've got set up at the moment because this room's not big enough to get my entire collection out. But yeah, it's a great piece. Love that thing.
We could just see it sneaking in the back.
Just
there.
sticking out that side. So that way.
Yeah,
I had to when I got that, I had to put my throne set away, just so that I could get it out and put it somewhere. Because
and that's I completely forgot you just won that. That you haven't had that forever. I feel like Lewis has always had a sale barge. No. You just won that from.
That's insane.
That's
insane.
That's awesome.
Wow,
man.
Lewis, that room is not your loft upstairs, though, right? Where you have.
No, that was my old house. So obviously I moved.
Oh, that's
right. I talked the wife into moving house so that I could get a big Star Wars room. That was literally the only reason I wanted to move. She thinks I agreed because she can get all the other stuff she wants. For me, it's about getting a big house. No, so I mean we've got you guys know I'm an architect. Is what I do for a living. So I've got planning permission to do a load of stuff now, and we're hoping to start this year. So I will be building a proper collection room on the other side of the house, actually. So this is kind of my temporary one. I set this up. I wasn't even going to bother setting things up because I always knew it was going to be temporary. And then I couldn't sit in this room and not have figures out. So I ended up putting the cases on the wall, and I've got some more in front of me here. But it's temporary in the sense that I've got so much stuff in boxes, and I'm really desperate to get it out again. Because if you look back to my old collection room, it's on my page somewhere, which was my loft room. I had proper displays out, not just figures, but I actually had scenes set up and everything, which is how I want to get back to. So can't wait.
I'm very fortunate to have this big collection room down in the basement that my girlfriend so graciously has let be sort of my room. I have like the whole basement to myself, and the rest of the house it's like her stuff. But I get half the garage and the basement. That's the me zone. I mean it's. And thankfully, I've got some of these big gigantic IKEA shelves that can fit some of the larger stuff like the AT-ATs and the Jabba's Palace and stuff like that. But I'm very fortunate to have a room like that. It would pain me greatly to not have something like that. But you got to have at least a background, right, Lewis, for your streams and
exactly. And, that's half the reason.
Like Hasbro reps for us, so.
You've highlighted the major difference, transatlantic difference. Like in the UK, everyone's collection is in the loft.
Yeah.
And in the US, everyone's in the basement.
That does seem very true. I mean, you look at Tim too. His is up in the loft, right? So
there aren't that many basements out here in LA, which is really frustrating because I want to get a house with a basement. It's just there's none around here. It's driving me nuts. So it's got to be a basement somewhere around here.
I'm in a garage. I'm in a garage. Same thing happened with when I when my wife and I started seeing each other. She'd be like, "Oh, this is really nice. This could go out to the garage," and then slowly and surely, all of my shit is in the garage.
Just shove it in there.
and the house looks like a real grown-up place. Yeah.
Do you worry about temperature fluctuations though in the garage? In terms, especially with cards. You can't be in a card collector.
Yeah. So they're all in cases, and I've slowly but surely started insulating the garage a little bit because in winter it is freezing cold in here. Yeah. So I need.
I was going to ask about temperature fluctuation down there in Narnia.
In Narnia, it's actually not too bad. It's pretty temperate climate, so it doesn't get extremely hot or extremely cold. But yeah, the ones that I know it's summer when the battle droids go all noodly.
Yeah.
They take a nap.
Like,
they lay down in the sun.
Like those big blow up, things out in front of car dealerships.
Waving inflatable flailing up.
I'm sitting over here just wondering about my collection room. Is like, oh, I forgot to turn the heat on in that room. It's a little
yours flooded, didn't it, fairly recently?
on the other side of the house, which is where I was going to put everything, but then I had to put everything from that side of the house into the side where all the collection stuff was. So all my stuff is a mess right now. It's been tough, but yeah, that's
John,
also been a fun endeavor. So
the boss
Chris.
is here, boys. Kia ora, Chris. Fun fact: the main reason that Chris and I are friends, I think, is because he watched Flight of the Conchords, and he finds the New Zealand accent hilarious. So he thinks every time I'm talking, I'm making a joke, which is true 95% of the time. So thank you, Flight of the Conchords, for breaking ground and making the New Zealand accent acceptable.
I think of the clone troopers every time. No offense, but it's hard not to.
Yeah.
We're on episode 2 of Legends of TVC, so episode 2 of Star Wars. All of a sudden everybody in the galaxy has a New Zealand accent. It's like, why is that? Okay. Oh, okay.
The clones are all New Zealanders.
Yeah.
What? It was a compliment. We appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, we do, man. We do.
Thank you for watching.
I love how we put the 2 eyes in there, like Timothy Zahn. It's like the clone of the first one.
It's a clone insult.
A clone insult, yeah.
I do want to know, do you get bothered when you hear like D. Bradley Baker doing the clone voice? Because he's not from New Zealand. He's from Denver.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Are you like, that's not really what Jingos should sound like? It's not right at all.
It actually takes me out of the Clone Wars when I hear Omega. Wrecker.
Oh, really?
What? Let's break stuff.
Tick.
Where's Tuck? Oh, Tuck died. He said, I've been double stuffed. I think it's stuffed.
Like an Oreo.
The boss comes on and then everyone goes quiet.
HR,
Back to usual. Back to
I've been
work.
talking for an hour and a half.
Yeah. We've been getting on for a while. Is it Sunday now, Lewis, for you?
No, not yet. I've got about 25 minutes. So yeah.
Oh, because we're on daylight savings and
Yeah.
right in winter.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll talk more about the holiday special, but nobody wants that. So
Omega. Yeah. So we've covered some ground today. And we're over 90 minutes, but it's been awesome catching up with you guys. Really has.
Yeah, well,
It's been great. Thank you for having us. I don't consider myself a legend of TVC by any standards. I think there's plenty of other people out there that could take that title. But no, it's nice to be invited and under that umbrella.
I consider myself canon, but whatever.
Yeah.
Nah, but you guys are legends. Like I said before, the work that you guys do in the community, not only fostering the Instagram, engagement, the podcast, the March Madness, all of it. It's true, all of it. And supplemented really well by Last Figure Standing as well. I like how that was a complementary thing and just a different way of doing it because, it's more data for Hasbro. And I think, as Emily said on the Victoria's, that Victoria's Cantina interview, and she was talking about that, they have a long list Hasbro has their long list of figures they want to do, but this gives them the priority of what the fans want so they can.
Yeah.
And then the third part of the Venn diagram, I guess, is Lucasfilm, who says yay or nay.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty key player there, key part of the Venn diagram.
Oh, you'd like to
certainly
make
for some of those older
movie?
figures, yeah. Some of those older figures are not on the radar. Yes, we know the OT stuff's always going to have a healthy, following. We know that new media is always pushed, but there is that stuff in between, like the solo stuff, like the sequel stuff. That I think that's where it helps to champion that, because that's the stuff I'm sure Lucasfilm aren't focusing on at the moment.
To use the Oreo analogy again, that's the cream filling. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff we all.
Legends. Absolutely spot
Legends.
on. Perfect pronunciation, Aquilish.
July asked a question.
That's
for
a
the
good
Yak
question.
Face discovered playset. I don't know. Maybe there could be a hint somewhere in his post, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm hoping for Death Star Wars.
That would be awesome.
Would be nice. Would be nice.
I'm hoping for a collection room scaled for my action figures to look at smaller action figures.
Well, Evan, you have a basement, right? Because you live in Tornado Alley, where houses get,
Oh, I live in a basement.
blown
I live in a
away,
basement, man.
so.
Concrete all around. So.
a
Yeah.
bunker, basically.
Yeah. Extend the indoor bunker. Give us the underground bit.
You need a
Yeah,
sign
one
above the door that just says Echo Base.
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
No girls allowed. It's my Star Wars toys.
Beware of the Wampas.
Wampa
Yeah.
Cave.
Ooh, God,
Hopes
man.
for 2024.
Obviously,
Yeah,
Chewie's
we can get
living
into
room.
this. This should be
Chewie's
good.
New
living room
tooling.
playset.
There you go. New tooling.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah.
Chewie's living room playset, complete with the questionable
Yeah.
VR for Grandpa. So
Yes.
Ooh, good shout out by Hal Runner, the Imperial
Imperial
gunship.
gunship.
Yes, definitely
Yeah.
want that. But
Let us
I would
see.
say, oh, sorry, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
No, I mean we had a podcast about this, the 2023 wrap up with the hopes for 2024. But more playsets, more vehicles, more world building lines would be awesome to see. The main line is going to be trucking along, and always hope for more new tooling. But I'm loving the 2-packs, loving the 4-packs, loving everything in between. So
I want
another,
more things that are like the Obi-Wan and Vader showdown pack. Not just Obi-Wan and Vader, because I love those two, but I want more 2-packs of good guy and bad guy that can fight each other, that share scenes, that because
What was the one you guys were
That's
talking about? Ahsoka the White and a retooled
Morgan.
Morgan.
Somebody brought that up in a chat the other day, and everybody acted like this was the first time they ever heard of it. I'm like, we've been talking
No,
about
I
this since the
know,
second
I
saw it in the
know.
episode.
Yeah.
I know.
That'd
but
be
it
a
was
good
funny
one
that-
though. But
So
Yeah.
keep reminding ourselves as well, because we keep forgetting. But because they can easily take this Ahsoka and this Morgan, give her new forearms and new shins, and then give her new face paint and a new sword. And boom, there's the. dual
I'd be
flip
curious
fly.
to see how they execute the sword, right? Because when it comes to the dark saber, they just finally added like the crackly effect on the paint job with Pre-Vizsla, but that sword of Talzin is like a burning flame.
I think
so
a
I wonder how they would.
swappable. Spend the money that they save on tooling up anything for that, because there's no new tooling required for that figure, and tool up a removable blade. So there's a regular blade and then like a green flame blade that you can pop on it.
Or just 2 blades, so it
Or
doesn't
like
break
a slashing one.
factory.
Something
Like,
over the top of it.
Yeah,
Like Hot Toys does like a blade insert that's like a slashing effect, and Audie's Workshop I think has offered that for TVC figures as well, right? Is it Audie's Workshop that did that?
You already
Right?
see. Yeah.
I've
Ultimately, the factories are going to decide how it gets done.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
No, I mean, because like the Marvel Legends stuff has a ton of like effects, like power effects and stuff. So it could be just like a green thing that strips out, like they did like 20 years ago in the Attack of the Clones line with the electricity that just wraps around the stuff.
Yeah, and the
things that
bits on the
snap
end of
onto
the
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 blades.
electro staffs have those little things that pop.
Yeah.
But
I'd
what-
love to see them do more stuff like that, because with Dark Times Vader, they experimented with like different hands, and I'd love to see them do more of that sort of thing, especially for like troopers, giving hand commands like Fordo. Fordo does a lot of stuff with his hands in the show, so
He's
I'd
big on
love
hand
to see them
Yeah.
experiment with that more. But
Just-
hopes
just
for
some-
20. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say hopes for 2024. Obviously, I want to see them knock out some more of the mains, right? The New Hope mains. Leia's coming, so let's see some more of those in rapid succession, and not bring
Not a
that
bad
out along
batch.
5 years.
Hopefully before March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be really helpful.
I'd
How
like to
many
see
new
some stuff.
stormtroopers are you going to get?
Oh,
New
man.
stormtroopers.
Refreshing Stormtrooper.
I'm certainly going to buy a few more cases, but like I said, I'm about to dump oodles and oodles and oodles of cash on Night Troopers, assuming that I like how they look. I have faith that I'm gonna like that. I'm gonna have 50 Enochs, but
Yeah.
It is what it is. There's my Tyler side for the stream, but yeah, I'll certainly get a few cases of those. But I'm hoping to see some stuff from Mandalorian season 3. I would love for some of that stuff to get pipelined before the tournament kicks off, so that maybe we can knock some of that stuff off and make room for other stuff. But and Andor as well. If we could get like Luthen pipelined, that would be wonderful.
That'd be amazing.
But let's see what else. I would like to see a small focus on the Phantom Menace. I understand, the Phantom Menace tanked TVC, 10 years ago. I get it.
And 25 years ago.
Or 12 years ago, whatever it was. I think that they could do a small mini beat of, the 3 core characters, Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. I think it's probably too much to ask for, 3 all new tools in 1 year, but I think that those could really use new figures, all 3 of them. So I don't know. I hope there's some sort of recognition for the Phantom Menace. I don't expect them to go all out like they did for, Return of the Jedi. I do expect them to do that for Revenge of the Sith, though, come 2025. They better have a really robust Revenge of the Sith anniversary. I'm serious, Hasbro. If you're watching,
won't,
we
so
want
just
stuff.
get it.
Yeah.
So-
They did have a robust 3 3/4 inch line for Revenge of the Sith in 2005.
2005, yes.
Yeah.
That's when they kind of say
One
we're
country.
celebrating all the prequels this year. It's like, no, you're doing Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary stuff 2 years late that we all asked for. We all moaned about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it. Better late than never. But
Real quick, just on the topic of pipeline, I would like to see some things pipelined, even if they're far away, because last year, we had the Obi-Wan Showdown pack pipeline February 1st, and I don't think we saw that until 8 months later. It took a long time.
some
So
stuff like Hunter, Paz, and Starkiller were all in the pipeline for like almost a year as well.
yeah, so
So who knows? Kitster and Wald 2-pack. Obviously, yes, please, for the love of God, this is the time.
I don't want a Maul retool Aqualish. I want a brand new Maul of the same quality as the Mandalore Maul. I want a brand new Phantom Menace Maul, personally.
can we just go back to that Mandalore Mall? Because we're short-term, as collectors, we're short-term memory. Like, ooh, the new thing, the distracted boyfriend stuff. I was going through some old figures, looking at stuff, and I had picked up all of my extras, and I had an extra Mandalore Mall, and I was like, dang, this thing looks nice. So I went and dug out my loose one that I have. That figure is incredible. I love that figure.
I bought a bunch of those, dude.
Yeah.
I think
At
that
least
wave
a
was
case of them.
that wave was a bit of a turning point, actually, when TVC just notched up another gear. I think since then we've run it. There's been very few bad figures since then. There's been a few that have been a miss, but I love that figure. It's great.
That was the Cyrillin Reynolds one, wasn't it? And you talked to her about it. That she
Yeah, she crushed it on that. That was that is a great figure, man.
I just want to highlight this one, Nubs, because we talked we talked about that, that Venn diagram of consumers, Hasbro, and Lucasfilm. I actually think that one's really likely because of the Lucasfilm part of that Venn diagram.
It's also D. Bradley Baker, so you can throw him under the clone umbrella if you
He's
want.
a fake New Zealander.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, Nubs gang, Nubs Nation, man. Let's do this. Let's make him happen.
The final batch of episodes for season 1 comes out on Valentine's Day, so I'm sure you have your date night planned out that night, Evan.
Not anymore. Clearing those plans. So.
Just going back to the 2-pack expression, I would love to see the Tonica sisters done that way as well.
Yeah.
Because it would be crazy having that, like separately. They have to come together. And I just love that outer packaging, and you get the little bit of tissue paper so you don't get the
That's
what I want to see this year. I want tissue paper in the actual cases.
More tissue paper.
Yeah. But I love that 2-pack expression, like the box. I hate that I called it an expression, but I understand. Whatever. I do like how the presentation of that. So stuff like the Tonicas, it kind of, especially being able to then see the figures on the side of it. That's cool, man. I really like that. So I think that'd be a really great way to present them. Probably not at retail, but fan channel would be awesome.
That would be an entertainment inspired way to do that.
Yes, it would.
We love the entertainment.
Media
man,
inspired.
the corporate lingo is making me nauseous, but
Oh man.
We're all
I'm just
such big
kidding.
fans.
but
As Eric Lawson said, another episode, one thing to shout out would be Battle of Theed Padme, which I know a lot of people have mentioned it before. Because
yeah,
And
Like, seriously, is
Tatooine
anyone in-
Anakin.
why that idea excites me the most is that you could do a 4-pack of the handmaidens from the final battle, which have never been done. They did
Yeah.
Rabe, and then they did a Sabe in her final battle gear over 20 years ago. But it'd be a great way to get another trooper pack where it's actual characters from the movie. That's something I would want to all wearing the same outfit. That's kind of a low-hanging fruit right there.
I would
Not
accept
sure it would
those
sell
not
well,
being
but-
carded.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
And then you get a
A
Keira
rare
Knightley
exception.
action figure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So Randy, my boy Randy, the 5 POA is not okay campaign starter. Says, Tonikas cannot be single card releases. We get one and it would pick. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why I reckon the 2-pack is the way to bring that out. Because if you're going to buy the Tonikas, you want both. It would be devastating to only be able to pick up one of them. But I'm not sure. Like a lot of people have said, Tonica sisters would peg warm, but they consistently are high in the March Madness bracket. They won last figure standing, so there is some demand out there.
Yeah.
It's not like
there is, and sometimes
sure.
with these things, sometimes we've seen comments of like, oh, they overproduced Bo-Katan, or they overproduced this or that or the other figure that is high on those polls. Sometimes it's not always about what's going to be the top number one ultimate seller in the world.
Yeah.
It's what is going to make the fan base the most excited about it.
Yeah.
Because
they
that way
still
you
do
keep those collectors collecting.
Yeah.
And they
They,
spend more
they don't.
money
They don't
overall.
leave.
Well,
Don't
and
say,
it's
"Oh my
about
God,
filling
we-
holes. It's about filling holes in displays, isn't it? We talk about this all the time. Velkin was finishing a skiff. We have bars to complete. We need our bars completed.
Mhm.
But it's.
I mean, there is some percentage of figures sold to people that aren't, doing podcasts and making Instagram posts and chat all day, every day. Somehow there are those people out there, but so got to sell stuff
But
for them too.
It's important to throw those. I got to choose my terminology carefully here, but I think it's important to throw those really long time collectors a bone every once in a while to keep them engaged and keep them around. Because when you see people who've been collecting since the very beginning, I mean, we're talking about decades here, throw up their hands and get frustrated and say, "I'm out. I'm over it. I'm done with it." It's like, man, that's not a good sign when you see people who've been invested for so long just decide they don't want to do it anymore. You don't want that to happen. So
To paraphrase Mascanata, I've collected long enough to see the same complaints on different websites. People back 20 years ago say, "Oh my God, okay, they've done everything they could possibly do from the original trilogy. I'm done. I'm out. Fine." And then it's, "Oh, they've done everything they could possibly do from the prequel trilogy. I'm done. I'm out." So they do have to keep it fresh, and they have done thousands of figures at this point. So that's even part of the reason why Vintage Collection kind of slowed down the first time, is because they kind of felt, well, we've done literally everything. It was a few years before new movies and shows were announced. It was a few years before some of the technology advancements. So they were like, well, what else do we do? And then,
I don't think anybody's ever really talked about this, but I have to wonder if TVC had come out, because you talked about how, Star Wars media was winding down, John. The Revenge of the Sith was at the time, I guess, the Clone Wars movie, but for all intents and purposes, the last Star Wars movie, right? And then sort of the last big media push before the Disney takeover was the Clone Wars stuff. But if they had started TVC, if they had started putting out product on that Kenner style packaging before more people had left, in the the 07, 08, 09 sort of time frame.
They did though.
They did, yeah. I mean, but they tried to keep it in literally in the 04. That's when it started. The
vintage.
Well, yeah, right.
But they did try to keep it as a limited thing because they didn't want to overplay their hand. And then after a while, it's kind of like the Hail Mary to a point of like, okay, people are leaving. We gotta bring out the big guns.
Yeah, of course. I'm not trying to completely ignore the original trilogy collection, Vintage and Saga collection, and What was the other one?
30th anniversary.
Well, yeah, but I was talking about just Kenner style packaging. I guess it was just those two.
30th anniversary collection vintage wave.
Oh yeah. But I was talking about a whole line of figures. You know, not just again, they did it in
Sure.
the original trilogy collection, but
Yeah.
Articulation changed a lot in those. You know.
Yeah, and
Several
I would
years,
I would
so.
argue that some of the dark times in the collecting were caused by poor quality more than anything else. So even if you go back to that, you know, Chris talked about on Banter Skull the other day, like that Phantom Menace wave had a lot of repacks in it, refreshes or whatever,
Yeah.
of pretty crappy figures. And then
Well, and-
you know when the you know supporting Force Awakens is when I got into collecting again. But you look back now on those 5 POA figures for all those movies is sort of what killed it, and overproduction of those figures as well.
Yeah, having same characters at the same time, you know, non-articulated, super articulated, it didn't work, did it? Too much of the same thing.
But I guess what I was just trying to say
is,
sorry, Joe. I was just going to say, I wonder if that would have, if starting the vintage collection line, a whole line, right, a few years earlier would have kept more people collecting, and also how many people came back to collecting when, you know, the vintage collection came to be in 1.0. You know, I wasn't collecting at that time, so I don't have that sort of historical knowledge, and maybe Chris can speak to that in the comments. But just, you know, thinking about it.
But when you're talking about the episode 1 stuff, like with the 3D release back in 2012, they did have literally the same Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, which were already repacks, but they had them also available in the main Movie Heroes line and in the Walmart exclusive Discover the Force line with the 3D glasses on the side. So literally the same figure at 3 different price points, at 3 different amounts of accessories, cards was available. And it's like, why would I spend money on the $10 one with a cool package when I can just get the $8 one with, you know, a launcher and some 3D glasses or whatever? Yeah. Different consumers would say that, obviously, not collectors necessarily.
And to agree. And to be fair, now to Hasbro, they've realized that TVC, that card and all of that is just part of it. And I don't think, you know, that they've realized that, and they've realized that I think it's here to stay. I hope it's here to stay.
Yeah, I hope so too.
They'd be mad. They'd be mad to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's most successful with this packaging, so there's no reason to change it. Honestly.
This whole area was nothing but Apple Watches.
I had someone, I don't want to throw out his name, but I was talking to someone on Instagram in my DMs, and he was like, "Oh, you know, I hope they change the packaging soon because TVC is kind of getting stale." And I was like, "What?"
Well, that was part of the way back in the day, pre-TVC. They would refresh it every year and a half to make it exciting, make it here's something new for retailers and you know, moms.
But
and
I had to explain to him this individual, and again, I don't want to throw out his name, but I had to explain to this individual why the packaging is so powerful, so important, why it's so crucial and essential to the line's health and success right now, because it inspires people to buy, you know, the carded versions and you know, buy 2 of everything. A lot of people.
Some people only buy the carded though.
Or
open them,
it makes everybody happy. You know, if you change it to a different packaging that people don't necessarily care to keep on the card, then you lose a huge swath of collectors. And again, this horse has been beaten. You know, everybody's talked about this, especially when they were talking about the packaging change. So this topic is beaten to death, but this individual apparently did not know, and I had to educate him on it. So,
ironically, when they put something in those, you know, those deluxe boxes, I spend less because I only need to buy one of them, because you open up the box, you get the figure out, and the box is I've still got the box on display. Whereas if it comes carded, I buy 2. So,
but good news, they're twice the price of a regular figure, so you're already spending the same amount of money.
Exactly.
Oh man, now I feel stupid for buying 2 of the deluxes. Okay. Because I know the box is empty.
Chris.
Football's around, aren't they, Chris?
I think he's talking about fake rugby, Lewis, the kind of fake rugby they play in the US.
Everybody knows that round balls
one guy
uses spirals through the air.
Let's just quickly bring Chris in. Hang on a sec. I'm getting old. I don't have time for this. Make Luke Skywalker. Make the main characters. By on the screen, we really appreciate it. There's a really good article on Banter at the moment about the make the mains from all the different movies, and yes, talks about the prequel ones as well.
It'll be interesting to see because we've done it before. Like after March Madness is wrapped up, we'll do lists of comparing just the Phantom Menace figures, or just like we did a lot of Return of the Jedi 40th posts or Attack of the Clones 20th post in those anniversary years in the past. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously,
this is a good comment
anything about it,
July. Sorry, Evan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can talk about this.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's a really good point. People have all sorts of different hobbies, right? People do golfing, people do mountain biking, people do skiing, people do, work on vintage cars, or they're car guys, right? Like all of the, or, gun guys, maybe. There's a lot of expensive hobbies out there. And if it's got to cost a little more to get high quality stuff, I'd rather get that. There's some people that keep trying to say like, oh, I want my figures to be, $8, $9, $10 again. It's like, dude, we can see now with the Epic Heroes line what $10 gets you these days, and it's crap. All right, it's crap. I'm not gonna be fragile about it. It's crap. All right. So,
but that's the important thing. If price is going up, the quality has to stay up with it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think some people at the moment are seeing the problem with it, because we're seeing things like the elbow issues and some of that stuff where they are chipping away at the quality, but actually the price is still doing that. And I think that's where it needs to be. It needs to meet, where it should be. Because otherwise people will pull out. Yeah.
Next time there's a boardroom meeting about price increases, they're going to use a clip of this live stream to justify it. So
they'll pay anything. Keep raising the prices. They're suckers. They'll just pay anything. I'm not trying to say that. What I am trying to say is that these people who are delusional and they're like, we should be getting 2024 TVC quality for $10. It's like, we can see now what $10 gets you. And again, it's garbage. All right. So
and again, as somebody said earlier in the chat, like when the figures went from $5 to $6 or $7, some people were like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened. I'm out. And it's like, it's the same cycle every time. It's nothing new under the twin suns here, but
yeah. Of course, I don't want it to be cost prohibitive for people to do.
Right.
I want the most amount of people to be able to comfortably enjoy this as a hobby or a pastime or even a passing interest. But yeah, no, I do get that though, where it's like I complained up and down about those $23 Boba Fett repaints for Target, and I ended up getting them because I'm weak. But like yeah, I ended up getting them, but I did get a couple for clearance or for cheap as well. And that was one where I struggled with it, where it was like, okay, this is just a straight up repaint with less deco than the original release of it, and it's $10 more than the original release. That's where I started getting a little grumbly about it. But when it's things like, oh, I just paid $17 for an incredible Darth Revan, do I want to be paying $17 all the time? Not really, but I mean, for the quality that I got, it is worth it to me personally, but I understand the hesitance.
There's, but that you guys ever seen that graphic where it's like you push a button on and then the other one goes off, and then you push that one on and then the other one goes off, right? And it's like a back and forth. It's like if you want to lower the price, right, then quality is going to go down. You're not going to get, the incredible quality that we're getting in 2024 and have it be $5 or $10 cheaper. It's just not going to happen. Like that is a delusional idea. I'm sorry, we're not going back to 2010 prices and getting this kind of quality. It's not
Well,
going to happen.
That's right. And inflation is just a thing globally still at the moment across everything, and everything's gone up. So I agree. It's like the unrealisticness of some of the comments around price, and there's employees
people
you
just
got to
stuck
pay
in 2010.
Yeah,
but that's not to say it's not. It's totally justified and fair to, like, I just see the comment about Django Fett. Like, does that Django need to be $24.99? Do I see where my money's going with that as much as something else that's all new for that?
Yeah.
But as Tyler says, like everyone's got hobbies, and different hobbies cost different money and stuff like that. At the end of the day, these are not necessities.
Correct.
And they are. Of course they are.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Well, they are for us.
I would die without them, but yeah.
But for example, I'm at a point in my life where we're financially secure and I can afford to buy action figures. It doesn't really bother me. But when my kids are really little and we only had one income, I didn't buy action figures because food on the table was more important at that point in time. And so I get it, and I get people are frustrated, and life is tough, and adulting is tough. But and we should demand quality. I agree with that. Yeah. But we also need to be realistic.
I find it hard. I mean, I agree when people say, this is getting to the point when it's going to become unobtainable, or the majority of people won't be able to pick them up. There might be a fortunate few who can. But I find it hard to moan about prices when I know what I've spent in the past for even things like Disney droids. I've paid silly money to pick up some of those that I know that I can't get any other way. So, I wouldn't want to be paying that for every single figure that Hasbro dropped, because it would break my bank, it would kill me. But I justify it in my own mind because, again, I want those figures. They're figures I have to go out and fill my collection. And that's because I guess we are sitting in that category of people who we want everything. But not everyone does.
And what Chris mentions here too, on this comment, I look at, again, not to rag on the Epic Heroes series a lot. I mean, I don't care, but
rag on
those, the Marvel ones are articulated for the same price, but then, you've got probably the Star Wars license is even more expensive. So they had to cut even more corners to chase the price point. So there's less deco, less, articulation, and the quality of the product suffers because they were trying to hit a target price. I've for whatever misguided reason for that line, but may or may not be. But again, it's easy for us as adult man children to complain about toys that don't live up to our standards. So I've seen people talk about how they do really like these as alternatives or options for their kids or whatever, or like, my kiddo's going to be excited because I didn't want to pay $28 for a Paz for them to throw around. I'm excited for a $15 one for them to do. I get it. I do. So I appreciate, not everything's going to be made for me. Shocker, but I appreciate what they're at least trying to do on certain things, but I do question sometimes the execution, I think, is where I'm at with it.
And this isn't to excuse, or sound like a corporate shill that, any price point is fine, and Hasbro going to Hasbro and it's all fine. Like, Blueprint 2.0 and the aim for 50% profit increase is gross. It's gross. We can say that because you're just they're being very public about the fact that they're trying to price gouge us.
Yeah, don't market
and that's gross.
Keep that for the shareholders. Don't market that.
Yeah, So
and there's Hasbro, the big nasty corporate Hasbro. There's the Star Wars team that's made up of people, and I think they've got a lot better in the last year on taking on board feedback. I know there was an extremely frosty Q&A, I think it was last year, and Chris and Tim were on it, and you could just see by the reaction and that corporate speak and the stonewalling and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, this is not going well. I think they've got much better at being
and I will say I do not envy them having to do it for 6 hours straight of answering the same five questions over and over again, trying to not. This time it was funny because they were like almost every time they had a comment of like, "Thanks for asking the question, though. We love these suggestions. Keep them coming." As previously it was like, "No, we're not making that. Stop asking that." Now it's like, "Oh, but actually, thank you for asking that." So
I really have appreciated that they have made what appears to be a very honest effort to be very engaged and to be, to keep things in mind. Where they've mentioned things like the fan polls, brackets, things like that, even unprompted, saying those when talking about stuff to people asking questions. So that's cool that they're, keeping that all in mind and being more aware of what's going on with their core fan base.
I just want to quickly highlight Stephen's comments. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And we appreciate you too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I see
Hey.
that he's done a March Madness list as well.
Yeah,
which,
thank you.
Good
Good
on you.
man.
Thanks, Stephen.
Welcome.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're
Larry's
stuck now.
here. Larry's here.
Do you want the A New Hope mains, Larry? I've never heard your opinion on that.
Yeah. And I think it's not just about budget too, right? Like it's people. There's only a finite number of people.
I think they said before, because they seemed shocked that people were asking about Epic Hero Series, because I think they were considering that like I guess the kids team, like the team that normally does whatever, was was working on those. But I know there is some overlap. Like I think Emily worked on some of the Young Jedi stuff as well. So I don't know.
This comment made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you ask questions like that, you should just be banned from ever being able to come on again. Like you're just wasting everybody's time. What's your favorite color? Like, are you a Libra? Like, who cares? Like, God, man.
But now I just want to know what 5 books Chris would take to a deserted island.
I would take the Thrawn trilogy.
The Thrawn trilogy and the Thrawn duology.
In the Q&A that I was lucky enough to be on, thank you, Chris, that one of the questions from the Black Series guy was, when are you going to do another fan poll for Black Series? And it's like, and then meanwhile, you guys are doing March Madness, Last Figure Standing was going on. Like, so at least give us a discount for the market research.
Yeah, right. Where's our free stuff?
Can I get a coupon, please?
That does kind of bring up something that I've noticed as well, where I've seen folks talk about where's our March Madness for Black Series? Like, where's our fan poll? And it's like, you got to put in the work if you want it, really. I mean, at this point, where
the Black Series answer to what this massive undertaking has been was to make one Instagram post saying, put in the comments what you want.
And then we'll show this to Hasbro. And I was like, okay, well.
So you're just getting a bunch of sporadic, like, just a jumble of data. Like, what are they supposed to do with that? It's just totally useless.
It was that easy. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like,
but that's not to just like rag on anybody in particular.
I'm gonna rag on it because it's lazy in my mind. It's super lazy. Like,
I get it. It's like if you want to do this stuff, put in the effort, man. Like it does. We do this because we're passionate about this hobby, about collecting TVC, collecting 3 3/4-inch Star Wars, and really trying to get a community, get the voice of the larger community to kind of every once in a while come together to maybe have some kind of actionable data or something that, we can point to, not just us, but collectively all of us, we can point to through things like Last Figure Standing, like March Madness and all of that. It takes the work. So Black Series collectors, if you want that, you got to do the work, man. So
there's no easy way out, as Rocky Forrest so eloquently put it.
And that's why you guys are legends of TVC. Because honestly, it's the work that you guys do and Banter Skull and Tim from Boss Bounty and that, which is keeping it alive, like keeping it in the consciousness and talking about it and doing things. And, and Hasbro knows that now. So they know that this is a line that they're going to keep going with.
Well, and you too. So thank you.
Yeah. And I see Toys Are the Way as well as like everyone, all these people that are engaging and doing this stuff to really drive home. That's like, we're passionate for this stuff and with an eye towards educating our fellow collectors, keeping people in the loop and having fun with it. So
now this Anna Banana. This is for you, my friend.
Wow.
This is Anna, my friend's daughter, and they were around here for a barbecue last night. And she saw this and she said, "Please put it on your live stream." So that's for you.
Nice.
That's the sweetest
Love
thing
it.
ever. Love it.
He used to be a very nice duck, and then
It's pretty cool. Duck Vader.
Extra crispy.
He fell on the charcoal grill.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Very, very engaged.
For sure. For sure.
Thank you, Aquilish. It's not true, but I
You
do
are.
appreciate
I
it.
agree.
No,
I
he's
agree.
right.
Legend.
He's right.
absolute legend. Like,
That's
if I may
perfect.
Try.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
John does the best impressions. I mean, his
thank
Poggle
you.
the Lesser is just like
Oh, do Poggle.
Dude.
Do Poggle.
It's
I
too
did it
good.
last week. Oh man, my mouth is dry after 2 hours, but I had to get more of that. I didn't do any of the clicks last time. I was
yeah,
worried
you're
about
missing
that.
the clicks.
2 hours after I woke up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. I forgot the clicks this time. Oh, no. An essential part of the Geonosian language. So
And everyone
you
noticed. Star
Good.
Wars collectors notice everything.
my DMs were on fire, saying, "Where's the clicks?"
Poggle the Lesser.
I'm
All right,
I know
guys.
we're
Yeah,
running
we've
down,
been...
but- yeah.
No, you go. You go.
Oh, just how runner based on it. People are wondering about like some of the shows getting pushed around because of the strikes and stuff. Not to start down a whole new rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Just so, like it'll be interesting. There's no way of knowing right now what the plans were, what the plans are. If they just took all the acolyte stuff and moved it 6 months, or took all the skeleton crew stuff and moved it a year. If there will be anything or nothing at all, we don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I do remember years ago, like when they announced it. A G.I. Joe movie, like the second one got pushed like a full year, but the figures were like already about to hit shelves, and like there was nothing Hasbro could do about it. And they're like, well, okay, well, that's just not doing it right. So yeah.
Well, I think one interesting one that nobody's really talking about is Darth Revan, possibly meant to be coinciding with the remaster of KOTOR or whatever.
The Black Series ones were
redo.
definitely based on the new designs from the new game,
for
and that
Malik
was
and
totally
Bastila.
just
And that game has been canceled. They've shelved it indefinitely, probably. But they still came out with that Revan, so
Nice.
who knows?
Yeah.
That was for Randy. Randy wanted Revan.
A lot of people wanted Revan.
He was, he did well. He did well every year.
Yeah.
So
He did.
wasn't
Yeah,
alone.
yeah. It's nice to see that we can check that one off the bracket and make space for other stuff, so
Mhm.
it's great to see. But
Well, guys, I reckon we've been going 2 hours, nearly 15 minutes. So I'd just like to thank you all for being legends of TVC and for joining me on this live stream. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome. Evan, I hope you're not stuck to your chair and that you're able to extract yourself.
We'll find out. Yeah.
No, I'm just going to wait. I better clarify that. I mean, it's very cold there.
Here are my
May
hands.
be frozen there. What?
We all get a little sticky being in our chairs after a while. We kind of coagulate.
I'll just have to look out for the
Moving
Wampas
around.
on my way out. So
Well, at least our scale figures don't have the sticky-looking faces. So
sweaty.
The sweaty series.
But it's been awesome. It's been a blast, and I really appreciate each and every one of you, and appreciate you coming on to this. And we had a couple of delays, but it was well worth it. And I really appreciate you supporting my channel, and just all the work that you do in the community is awesome. So
happy to be
Absolutely,
here,
man.
man. Thank you.
We love you,
Thanks for having
dude,
us.
and it's a great honor to be called a legend of the TVC community. As I often say, I'm just some dude on the internet. So it's very humbling, and we appreciate it, especially when you got legends like Chris Swansky in the comments. So
he is at least
means a lot. We appreciate it very much. So
well, I'm just a random dude on the internet with a weird accent. So and actually,
That's my slot. That's my slot.
but just very quickly, I want to tell a really random story. So I don't know if you remember, Tyler, but a few months ago, you sent me some like voice messages over Instagram, and I won't say what they're about, but I was helping out on a school camping trip with 40 teenage girls, and I was the only parent helper. and it was like wind warnings, like the tents were blowing. It was 140-kilometer-hour winds. I don't know what that is in America speeds.
Pretty substantial.
That's called Tuesday in Wyoming.
Fast.
Three tents came in the middle of the night, and because I was the only male on the trip, I was in a tent by myself. And then these voice messages were coming in from Tyler. It was so much fun. It was so random. I was thinking, I'm in the middle of nowhere with the wind about to blow my tent down, and he's sending me these voice messages about TVC. It was awesome. But anyway, it's been a blast. We'll end the stream here, and hopefully you guys got a couple of minutes for me to say thanks in the green room. But and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks,
I really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks for
awesome.
watching.
Yeah, thanks everybody
Yes,
who
thank
came
you.
to attend.
Awesome, guys. Ka kite.